With broken hearts, we are gathered here to honor and pay tribute to a great matriarch, Florence Perlman, Fegel Bat Gershon. I mean, such a special family. Many of them my neighbors. We would like to mention also the Silverstein family, her maiden name, anyone who's here and live with us. And she's the matriarch of the Perlman families, and grandchildren and great-grandchildren. A special list, which you can see on the program. As we gather for a funeral, the Jewish custom is to be real about it. It's a time when we express grief. It's a time when we recognize that there's a void in the family, a void by the loved ones. And it's a time to dwell on this for some time at the funeral, and then as we go through the Shiva, etc. So in the Jewish custom, there's a mitzvah, there's a command to tir kriya, of the immediate loved ones, which would be a spouse and son and daughter present here. So the mitzvah is to tir kriya. We tear part of the garment by near the heart, symbolizing that we're opening up this path to express grief and to allow ourselves to let out this tremendous burden, this tremendous pain that we experienced this morning, and all of us to a certain degree here today. So we're going to take a moment. That's who's going to be first? Okay. Huh? Now let's say the blessing as we make it a little tear. Okay. Should make just just start. Okay. What we'll do is a little tear, and then we'll make the blessing and tear a little more. It's a starter. Yeah. Okay, we'll make the blessing, three mourners together. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Dayan Ha'emet. Just give it a little tear a little bit more. Yeah. So you take part in the actual process. Okay. This is also an opportunity for anyone that knew Florence, family and friends, before her soul elevates. It says, until the burial, the soul is hanging between worlds. That's why it's important. I would like to mention this, how the family quickly got together to make sure that the burial would happen as soon as possible. She passed about sometime around 4 o'clock this morning. And being that the soul hangs between worlds until the body is buried and the soul sees its fit, and then it elevates upwards. So as before we do the burial, the soul is present here with us, and it's an opportunity for any of us to ask forgiveness for anything that we may have done or said, or anything in any way, shape, or form. Ask forgiveness from Florence. So each one, to yourself, it's a moment now to stop and think and ask for forgiveness for anything that we may have done negative. And this way she can forgive us when her soul is more present. So we're going to take a moment of silence for everyone to have. Okay, at this point, we have many family members here who would like to share about Florence, about her life, about the relationship with her. So, I guess, is David, are you first? So her husband, David, is going to share a few words about his wife. We can move the mic there. Should we move the mic there?
Face everybody?
Yeah.
Let's move. Yeah. Let's at least have you.
So is it black?
Quick turn around.
See everybody. Since this was on a moment's notice, I am so happy and so surprised to find out all the beautiful people standing here and my own family. Believe me, when I met this girl in 1948, I had just gotten out a few years earlier from World War II in the Navy. I was having a good time, relaxing and everything. And all of a sudden, I find myself on a bus. She was with her. We all were together on a date going to a Friday night party. This girl invited me because we went to Wright Junior College. I had just started, and my wife was in her senior year. But her name was Charlotte. Anyway, she lived in Logan Square. The reason I bring this out is because this is the very beginning of something that I never expected for this to happen, because I didn't have a job, I didn't graduate. Of course, I was in service and all that, and that distracted my whole attention. But going on a bus from Kimball Avenue to Logan Square, I took my date, and she was a blind date, really blind. But being a gentleman, and she was a nice girl, I had to travel by streetcar to Montrose, all the way east, to find where she lived. It was by a bowling alley. It's a good thing I left an hour earlier to find her. And when I did, then we took the streetcar back to Kimball and Montrose. And my wife-to-be, they went on the Kimball bus on Wilson, and Montrose was the next stop. So we got on the bus, and they were sitting on the back of the bus. And who should she be with? One of my neighbors that I know from my building. So I was talking to him, and he was a very nice guy, and his date was we were attracted to each other, and my wife was very cute and funny. She liked to joke around, so she told my date, yeah, she says, we're gonna go out to somebody's house, yeah. So this girl that invited us, we went to Logan Square, was the end of the line, and she gets off the bus, and then she notices my neighbor with this, with my wife-to-be together. So she runs ahead to the person who had the party and said, I think somebody is going to crash your party. She played off, she was like that. But it was then that we got acquainted. I asked her for her phone number, and she did give it to me. And this was on a Friday, 1948, and all I could say is that oh yes, so I called her up Saturday morning, and I didn't realize that she lived a block away from me. And having no car, boy, this was very comfortable. So anyway, I said, is Florence Perlman there? Is Florence there? And her mother said, who's calling? I said, David Perlman. Dave Perlman. So she asked her daughter, Florence, do you know Dave Perlman? And she said, yeah, we went out, Mom. We went out last night, and I met him. Well, anyway, to make it short now. To make it short,
Too late.
I tried to make a date the following Friday, and she said, oh, I'm sorry, but I do have a date lined up. I said, oh, I'm sorry, okay. But she says, I'll let you know. And believe it or not, I called her back again. She accepted my date on the following Friday, and that was history. That she was some kind of a woman. And my heart is just aching. I'm very full because the longer you live with your mate, the harder it is to split up. But all I could say is we have a wonderful, beautiful family. She gave me 2 beautiful children, and from them we have a gorgeous, beautiful family. And I thank her from the bottom of my heart, and I thank all you people for listening to me. Thanks.
Thank you for taking us back to the very beginning and those beautiful times, and it only got better from there. We have a whole week.
The main piece of the story was that both couples actually knew the people at the party. It wasn't their party left out.
Oh, so you heard that story before, yeah?
What you doing going to parties on Shabbos?
I don't know.
Well, it was Shabbat morning. Shabbat evening. Kiddush. Okay, thank you, David. And we're going to hear now from Howie? Oh, Evan.
Is it to a fact, Evan? Follow.
I don't know how she remembers them far back. Beth wrote this and wanted me to read it on her behalf. So this is from Beth. Every time I would end a phone conversation with Nana, I would say, I love you. And she would say, I love you more. I always remember how much she loved me, how she helped take care of us when Dad passed away, how I would call her when I didn't feel well and I wasn't sure what to do, how she came over after I got married so she could teach me how to cook all of the things, how she was in the labor room when I had my babies, and how she was so excited to put her dining room furniture in my house, and how she had so much fun playing with our kids. This is a very big loss that will be felt across all generations. It's like losing a parent, and right now I can't imagine what life will be without her.
I had my Nana until I was almost 40 years old. No, not 40. And still, it wasn't long enough. She was there for me, for all of us, always. We were always together growing up. Her and my papa were parents, not grandparents to us. They drove our carpools, knew our friends, took us out, took us on vacations. We had fun, and when we weren't together, we talked a lot. I could talk to my Nana on the phone for hours a day. When I went to college, I'd call Nana on the walk between classes. She'd use that time to sit out from her poker or Maj game and talk to me until I safely got to my next class. We'd talk about classes, friends, and plans for that day. Then she'd tell me to be safe, and if we were going out that night, she'd tell me to have an amaretto and orange juice for her. Then iPhones came out, and while talking to Nana was fun, texting was even better. Nana loved texting. I'd be at work, and I'd say, "I'll text you later, I'm going into a meeting," and she'd respond 5 minutes later, "So how's your meeting, sweetie?" My Nana was the first one to hold me when I was born, before my mom and before my dad, who was in another hospital. She was the first to hold me, and she never let me go. She came to every single event, big or small, with a proud smile. She even walked me down the aisle at my wedding. As Beth always reminds us, our Nana loved us more than anything in the entire world. She was always proud of us. And then our kids came along, and she was always proud of them. She kept up with Lev's school and basketball life. She watched almost every baseball game of Daniel's on the Game Changer app. She let Reese and Layla do her makeup, and she beamed at them doing their dances. She loved watching Mia tumble around the living room and then run to Nana to rub her head and make sure she was comfortable. Levi always brought his schoolwork to show Nana, and she'd shake her head in awe as if these kids were doing things that no kid has ever done before. She was goofy with Jonah and Judd, playing hide and seek and I'm gonna get you, and they'd run away giggling as if she was going to actually get up and chase them across the room. Liel always entertained Nana and looked forward to running up every day with an ice cream treat and an entertaining chat. And Romy was a little doll for Nana to cuddle on days she really needed it. Nana adored them, and they adored her. I never thought this day would come. I truly thought it would be some miracle, but she would be here forever. Nana, I don't know what I'll do without you. I don't even know how I'm going to tell my kids about you, because the person I'd ask is you, and you're not here to tell me. But I know however we decide to tell them, you'd approve, because we can never do wrong in your eyes ever.
Okay, Dana.
On this beautiful summer day, Nana, I wish we were sitting outside on your balcony, staring up at the sun. It's hard to imagine what life will be like without you, without running up to Nana's every time we drive by your building on Lake Cook Road. When Dad died, you and Papa became another set of parents to us. You took me for my driver's license, you sent me spending money in college, and you were always the first phone call when I got in the car to go somewhere. The first question you always asked me, how are the kiddies? I'm so grateful for the stories you shared and the letters you wrote the girls at camp, even earlier just this week, about your experiences growing up in Toronto. Shabbat dinners, holidays, your witty sense of humor, the way you yelled, Dave, to get Papa's attention in the other room, your daily texts and FaceTimes,
the way you let the kids spin you around in the chair, your greeting cards for every single occasion with a personal message. These are just a few of the things that I'll miss about you, Nana. I love you more. Yeah.
A few years ago, I was in the lobby of Nana and Papa's building I'd forgotten my key, trying to get up to their apartment. And another resident walked in and was nice enough to let me in, and he said, "Who are you going to see?" And I said, "Oh, my wife's grandparents." And then I thought to myself, my wife's grandparents, I kind of felt ridiculous saying that, because they weren't just my wife's grandparents. I mean, they were my Nana and Papa. I remember the day I met them. It was September of 2006. I'd probably known Dana for maybe a couple weeks, and there we were celebrating Marlene's birthday with the family. First of so many occasions. Nana and I had a very special relationship in the 17 years that we were in each other's lives. She had a special relationship with each of us individually. Papa, Marlene, Howie, all of the grandchildren, great-grandchildren. Everyone has their own Nana stories and will cherish them forever. For me, Nana and I had the same sarcastic sense of humor. I'll always remember the car rides when I would bring Nana and Papa to and from one of our houses. Nana sat in the front, Papa sat in the back, and we had some very serious conversations, but mostly just silly, humorous ones. Nana always liked to remind me on my birthday that, while April 5th was my birthday, it is also the anniversary of when Nana came over from Poland to Canada, which was a much bigger celebration, which we like to trade barbs at. In the last few years, she knew that her time would be coming eventually, but she would still crack jokes even on this topic. Some of my favorites are, people my age have been dead for 10 years, and I think God might have forgotten about me, to which I would reply, what makes you think you're so high on God's priority list? Well, Nana, it looks like God remembered you after all. We all love you so much. Thank you for being such a special part of our lives. Your memory will live on forever.
If I may say for a moment, just being involved in the last day and watching Beth, Dana, and Karen, and of course Evan, David, and Lee, watching the family, grandchildren, being like children, and sitting by her bedside, holding her hand, talking to her, I love you, and then she responded last night. Suddenly she responded when Beth said bye. There was such a closeness that in my years I haven't seen between a grandparent and grandchildren, as if they were children. And in all the meetings together, you really felt that these were her children, because she basically raised them as another mother and father. And that was really, really, really amazing, something special that I felt in the air throughout the whole time. So I just want to mention that, and that special relationship that her granddaughters had with her. Who's next? Okay, Marlene is going to share a few words.
So I really didn't write anything because I was very superstitious and I didn't want to write anything while she was still alive. But I did a lot of reflection during that period of time. And I thought that when it comes time to talk, that I will direct it not about her, but to her. So. Mom, I've spent my whole life trying to be like you. But I don't know that I can be. When I think about you, everything about you, every lesson, everything that happened in your life You embraced it and did something with it, taught me something. I don't know if I'm putting my words together right, but you know what I mean. You were a little girl coming from Poland. You left everybody and everything that you knew and loved behind. And you got on a ship, and your mother was in the room the entire trip across the ocean as your father held your hand to show you the Statue of Liberty. You used to tell me how we would call your name in Yiddish to come look. Bobby didn't want to come up. She was heartsick that she would never see her family again, and pretty much that was how it was. You went to Toronto, and you made friends, and you met new family members that you didn't know, and all of those people remained a piece of your life, even till today. You worked. I remember I used to want you to bake brownies and cupcakes like all the other moms, but you worked. And it wasn't until much later when I grew up that I realized that you probably would have wanted that too. But you did what you had to do always. You were a reader, you were educated, you did puzzles, you had groups and friends and played every kind of game imaginable. And everything was for your kids. And I remember saying to you, how can I ever pay you back for all the things you do for me? And you told me many times, do the same for your kids, and you will have paid me back. So here is my promise. I will try to be what you are, what you were. I will try to do everything possible for my kids. For you. For me, but mostly for you. I love you, Mom. I really do. I will never, 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 you will always be a piece of my life.
These are tough acts to follow. And I also was kind of superstitious about writing things down. So I didn't. And when I had to, there was no time because I was busy making airline flight arrangements and all kinds of stuff. But I just wanted to say that my mom, she was always there for us. And, you know, the way the world is today, I look at our family and somehow I think that we're all a bunch of well-meaning, good Jewish people. Somehow, she kept all that together. We didn't all go off in separate ways. And because of that, I think that she led a meaningful life, a successful life. I'm proud that she was my mom. I don't miss her.
If I may just add a second, maybe a little summary from the little time that I had to get to know her and hear from the children, grandchildren. She was a person who was really the anchor of the family, who really kept everything organized, make sure to take care of everyone, and always, even arranging this, how she was always a few steps ahead, always being there for everyone, just being that force behind the entire beautiful family. And I think that's an important point. Okay, we're going to hear from Daniel? No? Okay. Okay, at this point we're going to say Kelam Ale Rachamim, asking God to have mercy upon her beautiful soul, and she shall shine in the worlds above with all the other holy souls like the beautiful clarity of the sky. And we, as those that have the merit to be able to elevate her soul now, will give tzedakah, and she shall rest peacefully in Gan Eden. It's on page number 9 in the booklets. Elam ale rachamim, shoychein b'miroimim, hamtzei menucha nechayna al kanfei hashechina, b'ma'alois kedoshim u'tohoidim, kezayar harakia mazhidim, es nishmas fegel bas gershen, shahalcha leilama, ba'avur shonot v'utztaka badas koras nishmasa, began eden tehei menuchasa, lochein ba'al harachamim yastira b'ses knafav li'olamim, v'yitzrei b'tzerei chayim es nishmasa, adinoi unachalasa, v'sanach ha'mashkavim b'shalom v'noimar, amen. You can see the translation on the bottom of the page. At this point, we lower the casket into the grave, after which we will all have a chance to lend a hand in the burial and the covering of the casket. It's a big mitzvah. And before that, we will also put in a little earth from the Holy Land, as in our special tradition. Lee, collected for the earth, Holy Land. You can relate to this also. Lost his father not too long ago. So, I'm going to pour the land from the earth from the Holy Land over the casket. Okay, in the holy tradition, before we completely cover it with the vault, we're going to put some earth inside around the casket, and then we're going to cover it with the cover. So they're going to move the earth, put it on the side on a board, then everyone can have the chance to come over and assist in doing the mitzvah of covering and take a hand in the burial. Now there's a couple points. First of all, if the big shovel is too heavy and it's hard, we have a smaller shovel with earth in the buckets. And another thing is that the custom is not to hand the shovel from one to the other. You sort of just put it down or stab it into the earth, and the next person will take and push some earth. It says the mitzvah of helping and assisting in the burial is chesed shalemet. It's a kindness of truth, because it's not for any payback. She's going above, and it's a pure mitzvah that you're doing just for the soul, to help her come to rest, to find her place of resting. So it's a real true mitzvah to help and assist in burial and pay the respect. Another point, when Adam was created, Adam and Eve, it says Adam was created from the earth. God formed his body from the earth and he blew the soul into him. And therefore our sages say, you come from the earth and you return to the earth. Therefore it's an important tradition that we bury in the earth, we surround the coffin with earth, because that's where the body goes, and it's a very humbling experience. It always reminds us our origins and where we're going to, and therefore we don't become too arrogant, and we always serve humbly and be good people in this world. Okay, anyone can step forward, anyone who wants to volunteer and give a hand. Shovel on that side, shovel on this side.
Friends, you can approach the grave on either side. Just be mindful not to walk on any boards.
Want to go right here, Papa?
Out of the sun, though. Put him in the shade. Yeah.
Friends, we're going to put the registry book out if anybody has any chance to turn in. After we take several measures of working brigade, we come down panic mode.
Herb and Judy. Herb and Judy. I just wanted to come out. Okay, we're going to have to stop. We can't go so high that they can't get the ball. You want to put a little bit on the ends only, not in the center.
Right. We could also.
And a little bit here on the end. Wants to cover that.
We're
done. Cover the wood, we're done.
Move it a little.
Yeah,
Tom?
just stop.
That's what that
Okay, we need everyone to step back under the canopy.
Friends, if I could ask everyone just take a few steps back towards the canopy, please.
I'm gonna move you back. I'm gonna go back. You wanna move back?
Once the ball
Okay.
Then,
more earth on the ground.
well,
Put the ball down and don't shovel the
Okay,
roots with
perfect.
that or send to the grave, and then we're going to backfill into the grave from the container and I'll push the button.
okay.
Oops, I'm in the way.
Friends, if we have any volunteers that want to help close the final remainder of Earth. Return to the canopy.
Take it back. All right. We're going back, Papa. Good?
What does he want? Oh.
No, he wants to say cottage first.
Oh, you want to say cottage first? Say cottage, chef. Your parents are still in Vegas?
Friends, in just a few moments, the rabbi will return and finish the final prayers. Upon return from the cemetery, the family will be sitting Shiva at the Edelman residence, 9 Tamarisk Lane, until 9 p.m. this evening with Mincha and Mar of 8:15. The rest of the Shiva times are on the pamphlet, and for those of you online, that information is on the website. Memorial contribution in Florence's memory can be made to the Shul of Deerfield. That information is on the folder and on the website as well.
Okay, we have a couple of more things to do. On page 12 in the booklet, we recognize that even though this is very difficult, a very difficult moment, but nevertheless, God is just, righteous, perfect, merciful, and even in tough times, we understand that God has a perfect system. Everyone has their time, and this is all done trusting. We trust that God is doing what's best and what's right. So we're on page 12 in the booklet. And in English, it's on page 14 and 15. I'm going to recite it in Hebrew. Hatzur tamim pa'alai kichod rachav mishpat elamuna ve'novel tzadik v'yasher hu. Hatzur tamim b'chol pa'yal miyemer le'matif olashal v'matov v'mal me'mis u'machayim irsha'el v'yoel. Hatzur tamim b'chol ma'isa miyemer le'matase o'emer v'oisa chesed chinim lanu tase uv'schus ha'nekat kiseh hakshiv v'avase tzadik v'chod rachav hatzur tamim Erachapayim olerachamim chamil navachus nalav esavanim kilacha adin aslichas v'harachamim tzadik atad nelahamas ulachiyos asher biyadcha pikta in kol ruchos chalil lacha zichreinu limchos v'yuna necha berachim aleinu v'fikuchos kilacha adin arachimim v'haslichos adam ben shana yihiyeh oy elef shanim yichiyeh ma yisroin lai kaloi haya yiyeh Baruch Dayna Emes Memes Machaya Baruch Hu Ki Emes Dinoi Umeshaitet HaKol B'Einoi Umeshalom Aladin Chashbayne V'Dinoi V'Akoy Lishma Yoday Yiteinu Yodainu Adinei Kitzadik Mishpatecha Titzdak V'Devarcha V'Davrecha V'Sizke B'Shavtecha V'Ein Lahar Achar Midas Shvatecha Tzadik Adadin Avyash Mishpatecha Dayan Emes Shafet Tzadik V'Emes Baruch Dayana Emes Shakol Mishpat Tzadik V'Emes Nefesh Kol Chai B'Yadecha Tzadik Malayim Mincha V'Yadecha Rachem Al Paletis Sein Yadecha V'Semer L'Malach Heref Yadecha Gedoyel Ha'etz Avraha Liliyah Asher Einecha Pekuchais Al Kol Darech B'nei Adam Lasish Lishak Dracha V'Chfrim Al Olav Lahagid Ki Asher Adonai Tzurev Le'av L'Sabai Adonai Nasan V'Adonai Lokach Just a quick little thought before we read the last chapter in the booklet and say Kaddish. Looking at this beautiful family that Florence Fagel Bat Gershon has established. Of course, her beautiful children, Howard, Orly, Marlene, and Larry. Beth, grandchildren, Beth, Evan, Dana, Adam, Karen, Lee, Henry, Tamar, Daniela, Krogan, Sherelle, and Roan. And then great-grandchildren, Lev, Daniel, Reese, Liel, Linderman, Layla, Mia, and Judd Katz, Levi, Jonah, and Romy Edelman, Elia, Ezra, Perlman, Crosby, and Zoe Krogan, the entire beautiful family. I just want to share a quick thought to you all. And that is that from this moment on, You are the ones that are carrying Florence's legacy and Florence's soul. She can't do mitzvot anymore. She can't do good deeds in this world. She doesn't have the battle of the negative and the positive within her. She's a pure soul. And now that choice and that mission has been completely passed over to you to carry on. And every mitzvah that you do elevates her soul. Every good deed, every time you pray, every time you see a favor to do for someone else, every time you make kiddush and eat some challah and go to the shul, whatever it is, every mitzvah you do, it now helps to elevate her soul to a higher place. So know your power, that Florence is not gone. She's been elevated to another place. And you have the power to elevate her higher and higher and higher. And therefore the children say Kaddish, because the Kaddish is a merit to her soul to help her go elevated and to find her place of rest, especially during the first year when she goes through a lot of journeys in the worlds above. But actually any time afterwards, any of you who do a mitzvah in her merit, you help elevate her soul and bring her more peace and more glory and more light in the worlds above. So this is a great merit that you have. She lives on in you, and you have that power to bring that blessing to her soul. And likewise, all friends and extended family, when we do a mitzvah in her honor, we help elevate her soul and bring her more light and peace in the world above. And trust me, she's going to a place of rest, of peace, of kindness, of godliness, and she will be happy where she's going. It's a place of real peace, Gan Eden, the Garden of Eden. But we have the merit to be able to make it even better for her. So let's everybody in this week of Shiva, in the Shloshim, the 30 days, and in the first year, let's do more mitzvahs in her merit, in the merit of Fegel Bat Gershon. And of course, there'll be the ultimate elevation of the soul with the coming of Mashiach, when we have the tradition that there'll be the resurrection of the dead, and we'll be reunited with our loved ones. So the more mitzvahs we do, the quicker we usher in that era when we'll be reunited with our loved ones. We're going to say a chapter of Tehillim, of Psalms. In the booklet, it's on page, I believe, 17. 16 and 17. 16 in the Hebrew, 17 in the English. And then we will recite Kaddish. The mourners will recite Kaddish. Okay. Page 16. Lam natsayach livnei kairach mizmor rishim muzes kalamim hazinu kol yesh v'chaled gam b'nei adam gam b'nei ish yachad asher be'avyoin piyedaber chachmois v'hagus libis v'unais at l'mashal azni eftach v'chiner chidasi lam me'ira b'meirak avin akev yisu beina beitam al cheilam u'v'rei asham yishalalo ach leifada yifteish lo yitin lim kafroi v'ekabidin avshim chadol leilam וכי אלא נצח לירא שחס כי ירחם ממוסול יחד כסיל בבר יבידו ואז ברוח אלם חילם וקיבם בתים אלילם משכן נויסם לדר ודר קר ושמייסם על ידמייס ועד ביקר בל ילדם נמשל כבהמס נדמוזה דרכי מחכס עולמיים ואחריהם בפיהם ירצו סלע קצר לשול שעתם אבס יראים וירדבם לשרם לביקר וצורם לבעלויס שאל מזבולוי Achel mifte nafshe med shel ki gen isala ki altire ki ashir ish ki yirbe kvayd beisa beisaik leve mesayekach ikach kele lo yered achro kvaydoy knafshe bkhaymi varich beyedu kha ki saytullah tabe der beisa vad nesach lo yiroer adam bi karvela yav nimsha kabe mois nidmo. Recite the mourner's Kaddish.
Amen. Leomor de Rosh Hussein, Yamlech Malch Hussein, Chaye Chom, Yomei Chom, Chaye Lechol Beit Yisrael, V'Hagola U'Zman Korim, V'Imru Amen. Yehei Shemei Rabba, Leolam, Olam, Omayom. Yisporach, V'yishtabach, V'yispoar, V'yisromah, V'yisnaseh, V'yisadar, V'yisalah, V'yisalah, Shemei Dekudishom, Brechu. V'yola Mikol Berchosa V'shivasa, Shusha Berchosa V'nechemosa, Damira B'yomah, V'meru Amen. Yehi Shlomo Rabba Mi Shemaya, V'chayim Oleinu, V'yal Kol Yisrael, V'meru Amen. Oseh Shalom Brema, Hu Yaseh Shalom, Oleinu V'yal Kol Yisrael, V'meru Amen.
Okay, now we will escort the mourners outside of the cemetery. We make a line over here. We make a line. Okay. We make a line over here leading to the road, and the mourners, which will be David, Howie, and Marlene, will walk in between in the path, and we will recite together the customary comforting for the mourners. So let's make a long line, a path. Now we recite together, Hamako. Yinachem etchem b'toch sha'ar avelei Tzion v'Yerushalayim. May the Almighty comfort you among the mourners of Zion and Jerusalem.